Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're
Okay. All right. And the reason why it's exciting is because we think we are doing something a little bit different for New Jersey in our little neck of the woods, Long Valley. And what we are doing and what we have been trying to do since we opened the farm in 2012 is to create a food system, but not just a food system that brings health in a sustainable way to the local community. And not only health to the local community, but to the health to the water and to the air and to the forests and the birds and the bees and the pollinators. And this health radiates forth from our little valley, Long Valley, to the rest of New Jersey and to the nation and the world. So that's the vision that we have. We want you to help to build this vision by coming to our farm and by sharing in its bounty. So with this vision, we entered the Rockefeller Foundation 2050 Food System Vision competition in the past year. We were one of 1,300 applicants from around the world, all the continents except Antarctica. And the competition asked to develop the vision of this new food system for a particular place. And of course, we chose the state of New Jersey because we're the garden state and we want to bring the garden back to the garden state. So we were chosen semi-finalists. And the vision included or was built around providing food for a community in a regenerative way. And what the term regenerative means is, as we're growing the food, we regenerate the earth and the community and the substrates that go into the production of this food. Even the people who are growing the food are regenerated. And that is called regenerative agriculture. So I think that I've talked too much already because I'm just a doctor. And I think that I should now let the real master speak, and that is Nora and our new field manager, Nick. So take it away, Nora.
Okay, well, thank everybody who's here to listen. I just want to briefly talk about, what a food system is, for those of you who may not know what that is, and what the problems are surrounding our current food system, and then talk a little bit about the kind of system that we hope to create. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, a food system is it's the complex web of activities that are involved in the production, the processing, the transportation, and the consumption and the waste that occurs in order to bring food to our tables. And, surrounding these systems are some really big issues, like the economics of it, the governance of it, the sustainability of it, and really importantly to us as well is the impact on the natural environment and on animal and human health. So in recent years, science has established a set of boundaries for all human activity that takes place, and they've called this planetary boundary. And you can think of these sort of as like a safe operating space, and they're aimed at reducing human impact on the planet. So our food systems, as well as all of our other human activities, really needs to operate within these boundaries. And these boundaries relate to a number of different things, to fresh water use, climate change, deforestation, chemical and atmospheric pollution, biodiversity loss, and a few other areas or systems that these boundaries have been developed for. So if we stay within these boundaries, then basically we can maintain sustainable development and maintain, life on Earth as we know it. But as we breach these boundaries, that's when we get into some trouble, and we risk triggering some large scale, like planetary scale environmental change. And currently, with our current, large scale global food systems, we are crossing some of these boundaries already. And the food system as it stands now is contributing greatly to the crossing of these boundaries. Agriculture is a huge, emitter of greenhouse gases, the largest single user of fresh water. It's a major trigger for biodiversity loss, and sort of the nutrient and chemical pollution in our waterways and in our air, et cetera. So those are big problems. And then, with big ag, and to add insult to injury, with the rise of this industrial agricultural food system, the nutrient value of our food has been steadily declining. And, when we're out there shopping for food, we can't tell if boundaries have been crossed or if nutrients are diminished. What we notice basically is that we have relatively low-cost food with year-round fruits and vegetables from all over the world, and that seems pretty good. But what we can't see, unless we're really looking, and we hope to encourage all of you to really look, what we can't see is the impact on our health and on our future. The costs, from this food system as it exists now, those are real costs. So that we are all paying for. We're just not paying for it when we buy the food, but there are huge costs in healthcare from exposure to all the toxins, as well as diet-related disease from eating these processed foods. The cost of cleaning up the messes that we make with in our waterways with fertilizer runoff, etc. Again, those are real costs, and we are all paying for them. So that's the bad news, and that's plenty of bad news, but there's also good news. And I would claim that the good news is a local food system, right? And that's what we really want to establish, a much more local and regenerative food system here, and we need all of you to be our partners in that. So a local food system then is a system that's really based on collaboration. So it's so different in so many ways. It integrates all of those activities in a food system, but it does it in a way to benefit environmental, economic, and the social health of the communities that participate in it. It's almost always much smaller scale agriculture. And when you have smaller scale agriculture, you often have much more sustainable agriculture. So in a local food environment or food system, you're going to have many more organic farms, and farms that are in general using less toxins to produce food. And a local food system encourages things like food hubs and farming cooperatives as ways to offer the consumers a larger variety of foods that are grown in these sustainable ways, and leaving a much lighter footprint on the planet. Some of the benefits of a local food system, and there are many. These are just some. I'm going to read a few of them here. The economic benefits are considerable. When you have a local food system, you're eating food locally, you're keeping those dollars in your community. We're adding local jobs. when you're buying local food. The farmers who are producing that food are able to keep more of the profit, so they have a better chance of surviving, into the future. A local food system really contributes to building a community and empowering it. Local farms are places that people can meet and connect, enjoy nature, and it gives the community a voice in how their food is grown, because you are connecting directly with the people who are growing it. And I can tell you, as a farmer, we want to please you. We want to give you the kind of food that you're going to feel good about eating. So when you're able to connect with the people that are growing it, you really gain power in that position. The benefits to the environment are just huge. When you eliminate the kinds of chemicals that are used so widely now, all throughout the larger agricultural system. I mean, it's just an amazing difference that can happen in protecting and increasing biodiversity when your food isn't traveling, hundreds to thousands of miles to get to you. That kind of environmental benefit is huge. And then, of course, there's, the nutrients in a local small-scale food system. The food is more nutritious, and that's because, for a few reasons. It's getting to you quicker, so those nutrients are still there in the food because you're eating it much fresher out of the fields, but also mostly because they're being grown in healthier soils. So when you grow food in healthier soils, it is healthier food and is more nutrient dense. It also provides, I think, a safer food supply, and we all can appreciate that now. There's fewer people handling your food, less processes that your food is going to before it comes to your table. And it's easy to contemplate these things right now. We're living, almost a year into a pandemic. We're seeing the storms in Texas and really all over the country. All of those things are visible and happening now. And by creating a local food system, we really can help to mitigate those kinds of effects. Also, if you're eating local food, it really will encourage you to eat a healthier diet. There's no doubt about it. You're going to be eating more vegetables, more whole grains, less processed food, and that's just definitely going to lead to less disease and better health all the way around. Preserves open space. It's just a great thing. So, that's what we want to be a part of building here for our community, for you and your community and your families. And we hope that you will want to participate in that. So now that I've talked about food systems, I want to introduce you to our new field manager, Nick Hodgson. We're very excited to have Nick here. Yes, clap, 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 clap. He came to us from a farm in Virginia, and I feel terrible for him because I think it was maybe the day after he got here, maybe 2 days, that the big snow came, and I feel like it's been snowing ever since. I'm not sure Nick has actually seen the ground yet here at the farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got here to New Jersey, a recent transplant from Virginia. I got here in February, and the day after I got here, we got about over 2 feet of snow, and it hasn't stopped snowing since. So
yeah,
I guess that's my welcoming to New Jersey. But
yeah.
So a little bit about myself is I've spent the last 5 growing seasons working and learning on various organic and nonprofit farm settings. Just before that, I had spent some time studying human health and working as a personal trainer, and I saw really the shortcomings of just trying to prescribe a workout routine and then people going back to a standard sedentary lifestyle with eating a modern diet. So even with the nutrition I was learning in college, I really thought I was missing a lot. So I started to learn about how our food was grown, and that's really where my farming career began. I just became fascinated with farmers and just seeing their market stands and the pride they took and the ways that they lived their life. So that kind of got me into farming. 2 years ago, I worked at a hospital farm, which was a new project where we partnered with the hospital, and we were bringing fresh produce directly into the hospital. And we were also piloted a food pharmacy program where it would be a farm stand where diabetic patients would work with their doctors. They would have all their metrics being tracked, and we would provide the produce once a week. So that was kind of my first step from farming to really focusing on medicine, and so that kind of is what led me to Dr. Weiss and saw his philosophy and the way he sees agriculture and human health, and that really inspired me. So last year I spent a season managing a vegetable farm down in Virginia before coming up here. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of those farming practices. I know Dr. Weiss kind of talked about, his vision for agriculture and, his practice. And Nora talked a lot about food systems and the way conventional agriculture is really, damaging the environment and human health. So really for me, farming is really a mindset shift. When we talk about regenerative versus conventional, conventional is you could argue that this has parallels with modern medical system. It's we see a problem, we try to treat a symptom rather than getting to the root of the problem. And I think regenerative agriculture is really not just, a set of practices, but it's a way of thinking. And it's how do we get to the root of the problem, whether it's a aphid infestation or we're low in nitrogen or whatever. It's not just a simple spot treat, spray a chemical or put down a synthetic fertilizer. It's much more nuanced and complicated. So it takes a lot of observation and patience. The first farm I worked at, actually in Maryland, I had no idea what I was doing. It was probably my second day there. The farmer Steve, great guy, learned a lot from him. I was out there and we had a big pile of compost and we were going to put it on vegetable beds. I'd never grown vegetables before. I didn't know what I was doing. And he said, well, let's go. I got 2 hungry elephants to feed. And I looked at him, I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he began to explain to me, he was like, well, the life of the soil, what we're doing here is we're feeding the life of the soil. And if you took the collective biomass of all, your nematodes, your fungi, your bacteria, your earthworms, you took all that biomass on 1 acre of healthy soil and you added it up, you'd have the total biomass of total weight of 2 full-grown adult elephants. And that clicked instantly for me. I was like, oh, that just changed my whole perspective of, okay, we're feeding the soil. This is a living ecosystem. We're not just putting down fertilizer, putting plants in the ground. We're really trying to build, from the ground up. Because if, you take the biological approach where modern conventional agriculture really took the chemical approach, we just focus on nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and just focus on deficiencies that way. You look at regenerative, you really focus on the biological. How do we feed the soil? How do we increase the life in the soil? Because the life and all the complexities of this underneath the soil is what's going to feed the soil, what's going to create healthy soil, which is going to create healthy plants and healthy humans. So some of the specific, that's kind of the mindset, but some of the specifics are at the farm, we really try to minimize soil disturbance because we know from conventional ag, every time you're disturbing the soil, you're losing some of that life, right? So when you're going in with the tractor and you're rototilling and you're inverting the soil, you're putting in massive amounts of oxygen into the soil and you're over oxygenating it, you're burning up your organic matter, and you're really killing everything that's all the life under there. So we really try to minimize soil disturbance. We use this through using permanently raised beds. So instead of coming in with a tractor every year, breaking new ground, establishing new beds. We create raised beds where we're constantly adding organic inputs. And these organic inputs are not like just specific nitrogen, phosphorus. This is, organic matter. This is, animal manure. This is compost. It's straw. So we're always trying to feed the soil. And we never want to keep the soil bare. That's the thing you see a lot in conventional agriculture. They'll till it, they'll leave it bare for a long time until they can plant or after they harvest. And then during that time, you're creating a soil that's, nothing, the soil's naked, it's bare, it has no cover. So you're going to lose all those organic inputs, all that organic matter. You're going to lose that to forces of wind, rain, and sun. So we try to keep the soil covered as much as possible. Some of the ways that we do this is we plant obviously a lot of vegetables, a lot of, what we call cash crops, the ones that you're going to sell or give away, the ones you're going to eat. But then we also, if we're not in, growing crops, we're also growing cover crops. And this is a way to stimulate that biology, to keep living roots in the ground, continue to pull carbon out of the atmosphere into the soil where it belongs. So those are some of the practices. And then if we don't have living roots in the ground, we like to keep the soil covered, whether that's adding straw, or just simply adding a layer of compost that can protect and help soil from erosion. And then another effort is sometimes we'll use silage tarps as well, which keeps it, covered. Look at nature. That's another thing, is we really like to, model after nature. How does nature do it, right? And you pull up a log or a stump off the ground, right? You pull it up and you see this rich, good tilth soil. You see all these earthworms, you see all these different organisms in there. And that's what we try to mimic, on the farm. So in nature, you won't see bare soil. You'll always see it covered, whether it's in sod or plants or leaves. You don't see bare soil because that's a bad sign. So we really try and nourish the soil and also keep it covered. And then another thing here is we're really a human-centric farm. We mostly are using hand tools to do the work. We do, hopefully coming soon, we have a walk-behind tractor that's going to do some of our field work and prep some new beds. And we do have a larger tractor that we use on some other plots, but by and large, it's, human powered. And I think the way going forward in agriculture is really a human focused, small scale model. That's to really be regenerative. You really have to observe and be patient, and to farm, 1,000 acres, it's really hard to do that. You're going to need mechanization. You're going to cut some corners. You're not going to be able to pay attention to the land as much. So it's very small, human scaled, a lot of manual labor, less upfront costs and mechanization and tractors. But I also believe it's important for regenerative small scale agriculture going forward is to have these small scale models, because these models don't have huge upfront costs, and they're less acreage, so they're more accessible to the young farmer. We need more farmers, and the cost of land and the cost of equipment is a big barrier to entry. So this is, one of these systems to create more inclusion and to have more young farmers. So yeah, that's just some of the practices that we plan to use here. Another quote is, I think it was, a farmer's footprint is the best fertilizer. And I agree with that. I think that is so important. It shows that you need to constantly be out there and be observing. It's not just as simple as going out there with the tractor, tilling up a new plot, and then just putting down nitrogen or whatever nutrient you're deficient in. So it's kind of a long game, but yeah, so that's some of our practices here, and there's many more, and I hope to engage more with, the community as we go into spring, and we're going to start our farm market. I think mid-April is what we're shooting for. Hopefully some of the snow starts to melt so we can get out there and start planting and prepping. But yeah, so I hope to meet people, and we'll be growing a lot of vegetables, all sorts of greens, roots, lettuce, spinach, lots of brassicas, cole crops, your broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, tons of summer crops, summer squash, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, just really diverse in our offering, and a few new things that we're looking forward to growing this year. We're looking to grow ginger, turmeric, and some artichokes. So that will be exciting. And yeah, and then I think we're hoping to do some plant start sales a little later, maybe like early May. So I hope to see people out here on the farm, and hopefully we'll have some volunteer days and we'll get to meet and chat a little more. I look forward to, meeting the community. So
Thank you, Nick.
thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, great. So I hope you all have a good idea of what you can expect from the farm market this year. I just wanted to let you know a couple things. We do plan on being open right now on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 9 to 3. That's the schedule we're planning on working with this year. And also, just so you know, we'll continue with COVID precautions at the farm market. If any of you shopped with us last year, we everybody will obviously be wearing masks, and we allow only 4 people in the market at any given time, just so that we can, maintain appropriate distances. Yeah, so we'll continue to take those precautions. Would be wonderful, and we hope that, maybe we'll be able to have some smaller events this year to welcome people, to the farm, and to show you all some of the things that we're doing and the ways that we do it, and maybe even how you can do some of it yourself in your own garden. So I guess we'll sort of have to see how things progress from that perspective, but that's what we're hoping to do, is encourage a lot more participation from our own community as far as coming out to the farm and engaging with us and what we do, because we really do consider you our partners in this endeavor. So we need your thoughts and your support in order to do that. And I think maybe the best way at this moment that you could participate and help support the farm is by purchasing one of our discount cards, which are on sale now. I believe it's on the screen. There's a link there for where you can go to purchase one. If you purchase a discount card, there are 4 different levels of discounts. You can see them if you go to that link. And then you can use that card throughout the season to purchase vegetables. So if you have any left over, it's still good the following year. But it's sort of our way of doing a CSA, but with a lot more choice and option on your end. So you can come whenever we're open, buy whichever produce you like, however much of it you like, and you can still get a discount doing it if you purchase one of these discount cards up front. It helps us greatly because then we know we have a committed base of people that we're working with. We know we're going to have people who will come and buy the food that we're growing, and it helps us now at this point in the season when we have a lot of cash output, buying supplies and materials and equipment and all of that. A lot of our farming costs happen right up front. So by purchasing cards now, you can help defray some of those costs and make us all feel good about it. And in turn, we'll make you feel good with the vegetables that we grow. I'm really excited about this year. There's, I think, a lot to be hopeful for, and I think, you know, for all of us, I think we'll hopefully begin to come out of the funk of last year and begin to reconnect with each other and with our surrounding environment and all of that. So we really look forward to welcoming you and really making the Ethos Farm your community farm. Okay, so with that, unless anybody else has something to say, I think we could, if there are any questions, we can open it up and respond to any questions.
I just wanted to say, this is Wendy. I unmuted everybody if you'd like to speak, but I'm also monitoring the chat box if you'd rather type in your question.
How much is the discount card, please? Can you tell us?
Yes, well, so there's 4 levels. We have a $250 card, a $500 card, a $1,000 card, and a $2,000 card. And you get different discounts. So the $250 card, you get a 5% discount. The $500 card is a 10% discount. The $1,000 card is 15%, and a 20% discount on the $2,000 card. And the way that works is that when you purchase the card, you get a discount at the time of purchase. So the $250 or the $500 card, you get 10% off. So you actually pay $450 for the card, but it's a digital card, but it is loaded with $500 worth of purchasing power. That's the way.
Okay. Is it in any way linked to those of us that donate monthly on a regular basis to support the farm? Or is that a separate thing altogether?
Yeah, those are separate. Those are separate things. Yeah. But thank you if you are one of those people. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'm just curious out there. I can't see everybody, but I'm just wondering if there are any new people here, new to Ethos, who haven't been to our market yet or been to our farm. I don't know.
Yeah, I am.
I'm new.
Yeah. Okay, great. So what, do you have experience like with a CSA or going to other local farms?
Other local farms.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. I did an apprenticeship on a farm up in New York last year, so I was looking to maybe volunteer on your farm this coming season.
Okay. Well, we like to hear that. Yeah. So you're staying locally?
I'm actually in Jersey City, New Jersey, but happy to commute. I love the cause, so.
Yeah. Well, great. Yeah. And it'll be sort of a nice change of pace from Jersey City to come out.
Definitely.
Long Valley. It's a beautiful farm. If you haven't been here, it's really really a lovely place to be.
Awesome. How many acres do you guys farm on? Is it
So it's a large farm. Well, by New Jersey standards, anyway, it's 342 acres total, but there's about half of that is in forest. And Ron, you can correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong. Our organic growing field is about 13 acres in diameter or in measurement. And then we have a 100-acre field and some other, a 22-acre field, a few other fields as well, a compost field. This is, we're just so you know, we're certified organic. And we also have a real organic project certification, and that's by an organization that is trying to promote farms and farmers who are growing in soil and understand the value of regenerating soil. So we have a recent certification by that organization as well. If you haven't been to the farm, in past pre-COVID, we did, some farm tours and some walking tours led by John Park of the New Jersey Audubon Society, who would walk up into the upper fields, pointing out the different wildlife and birds that could be seen. And I don't know if we'll be able to do that again this year. Maybe we could do it. I don't know how it's going to all work out, but anyway, at some point in the future, we'll be doing things like that again, opening up the farm for you to come and check it out and enjoy all that it has to offer.
Do you have programs for kids?
We don't right now, but it's something we would like to do. And I think probably that will definitely have to wait till we're a little bit safer COVID-wise, because that'll be really hands-on, probably close together kind of work. But yeah, we'd love to develop some programming for kids, and for adults as well. I mean, I am really deeply committed to encouraging people to grow their own food, and whether it's in one little container on their porch or deck or a giant backyard garden, because there's just so much to be gained, I think, from that experience. And there's really nothing like eating a piece of food that you grew yourself. So yeah, I like to encourage that in any way possible, and hopefully we can create some classes in the future to help people with their own gardens.
Nora, we have a question in the chat box. How many regenerative farms are there currently in New Jersey?
Oh, gee, that's a good question. And the reason there's no real answer to that is because it's not a real word, regenerative. I mean, it is a word, but it's not a label, I should say. There's no actual regenerative label that exists, like organic certification. It's a process that you go to, you get certified, you meet all these standards, and you go through this process of certification. Right now, there is no process for regenerative agriculture. So anybody who wants to can use that term and say they are regenerative. So it becomes less and less value. In my mind, what that means is you are literally regenerating the soil first and foremost, but the entire ecosystem around you. So you would have to be using methods that would encourage that to happen. But yeah, there's no real label for that at this point. I was looking on, I think it's called Regeneration International site just today, and looking at the map of all these farms that are calling themselves regenerative, and they were all over the country and all over New Jersey. And honestly, I don't know what that means.
Nora, maybe
Yeah.
if you could speak a little bit about, there are plans to try and formalize what this is, and that's the regenerative certification that's been instituted by Rodale, which is Rodale is one of our partners that we work with on the farm. Maybe if you could just.
Yes, so they have, in fact, they have developed, a certification process, and I think it's going to be called organic regenerative. Is that correct? So and they have trialed it, I think, with a few farms now, and maybe this year even are going to be ready to sort of release that label and welcome farms to come in and be certified. And it's very stringent label and process. The baseline is you have to start off being organic certified. And then in order to get this regenerative label as well that Rodale will be offering, you have to show not only that you're using the methods that organic production uses, but that you are actually making those improvements. So you need to show that your soil is actually improving from year to year if you want to maintain that level. And they also take into account a number of other things for farms that are raising animals and livestock. They have very stringent standards for how those animals can be raised and treated, etc., as well as a very strong social justice perspective, so that ensuring that the farm labor working on these farms are treated well. If they're housed well, and all the other issues that surround farm labor. So I think it's a great addition, and I'm hoping it will become widespread and widely available. We will certainly apply for it when it becomes available for us. Okay, well, seems like that is about it. If there are no more questions. Okay, folks, thank you all for coming. I hope you got something out of it. You can see different ways of connecting with us now on the screen.